Welcome to the JS SelfCare Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. My name is Janelle and I am your host. This month is Mental Health Awareness Month. I am so happy to have met some amazing men whom are committed to taking care of their mental health. Without further ado, I would like to thank Revel for sharing his story as he is a survivor of verbal abuse, molestation, and physical abuse. Revel, can you please also share with us? When was the time that you felt, wow, I need to start taking care of me more, taking care of my mental health?
All right. Just to introduce myself, I go by the name of RevelHaitionl. I am a philanthropist, entrepreneur, and a creative. And the things that I do it to inspire those from impoverished communities. And this all was influenced by my story. And just to give a little bit more details about my story, my parents are immigrants from Haiti. We grew up with a poor mindset, and while growing up, my father and mother separated. And just to get a little bit more details, things got messy. My mother ended up cheated, and in the midst of that separation, me being a child, I was caught up in the midst of that chaos. That eventually led my mother to verbally and physically abuse me growing up. That caused a lot of damage internally. I wasn't aware of it at the moment, but confidence, and so on. It just so much internal damages and trauma was built up from those times that I wasn't aware of. And eventually, financial wise, we were struggling. I went into a care of someone else. I called my grandmother, and in the midst of that, things did get a little bit messy on that end. Eventually, I was molested, um, and that's there. And with those trying times that I went through as a child, it pretty much it introduced my spiritual journey, you could say. I was very broken. I was very down. Didn't really believe in myself. Didn't love myself. Due to all those traumas and hurt that was passed on and done to me, and that caused me to, I attempted suicide a couple times. I fell into drug and sex addiction, from all those traumas and hurt and things that I was carrying on, and the mindset that came with that. Also, I was pretty much living life recklessly, and eventually, I had a reality check. I call a spiritual awakening. Um, During that spiritual awakening, I was pretty much able to see life for what it is. Also was able to face all the traumas and hurt and the things that I was unconsciously running from and not aware of. So during that awakening, everything came to the light. You could say everything that was I didn't talk about, what was hurting me, the everything I held in my heart. I came face to face with it, and after that transition, I was exposed to healing. I didn't know was what healing was. Also, coming from my background, in my environment, people tend to neglect emotions and
Mm-hmm.
don't really cater to how you feel mentally and emotionally. It's you'll get over it, or it's okay, or just keep going. It's life. It's everything's always thrown under the rug, and that also came to my understanding. Like that's a huge issue there. That's causing a lot of hurt, and people are growing in life not being healed completely and not being
Absolutely.
themselves. You can't be yourself and you can't be true to yourself if you don't completely love yourself. And in order for you to love yourself, you have to make sure you're at peace within yourself. um, so to continue
Mhm.
on that journey, I started finding ways to positively cope with everything that I was dealing with emotionally and mentally. The war that was in my mind with everything that I had experienced was a big battle for me. I also had to learn to forgive those who have done me wrong, and that played a big role with me actually finding the right path. I held a huge grudge with everyone that did me wrong. You know,
That hurt you.
yeah, I did. Um,
I so get that. Revel, you say you were verbally abused, but you also say your parents are Haitian. When you say verbally abused, was it a cultural thing or was it something worse than anybody can imagine? Like, calling you stupid, you're not gonna amount to nothing. What did that verbal abuse look like?
Um, that's a great pinpoint. There is a culture thing to it, but
Mm.
I also was able to survive the worst aspect of it due to the whole separation and the situation between my mother and father, and my mother taking that out on me. It was more of I understood the culture, but for that situation there, it was more of anger and frustration and just pretty much taking everything that happened during those times out on me, if we could say.
Did your dad stay in your life?
Um, wow. My father, he was, but it was point a time where he was always working or always, when he has his own time, he rather spend his time out. So I would say I can actually say that my father was there, but at the same time, it wasn't really like an actual active father figure. If you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely. So your mom was mad of the breakup, which she turned on you. Do you resemble your father?
Um, can you repeat that question? Because I want to make sure I answer it
Do
correctly.
you look like your dad?
Yes, I do look
Okay.
like my father.
As a social worker, sometimes, and I'm not saying it's correct, but when parents break up and the child looks just like the opposite parent, whether that's mother or father, the parent who's angry because the other parent left, which in your dad left, your mom grew a resentment for you because you looked just like him. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely makes sense too. But being very honest and transparent, it was also because when my mother cheated on my father, I was a witness of it, and
Wow.
yeah, and
So
I
were you the
guess
one who told your dad?
yes, and how it came out, I wasn't really aware how it happened.
Of
But
course.
me just being a child of, understanding to not lie, be honest, be transparent. Um, and like I said, it just got very messy and I was
Mhm.
caught up in between it all. And yeah, and I
And
feel
that
like,
was another reason why she was angry with you because you told and you shouldn't have told. Now, our parents raise us to tell the truth and then they want us to lie. So it becomes confusing when we're kids. We're like, what do you want me to do? I don't understand this.
yeah, true. So
Mm.
yeah, that's so true. Pretty much.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to ask you also, you spoke about you moved to your grandmother's. You move to your grandmother's because you and your mom weren't getting along?
No, it's
Oh,
financially, they were struggling. Those changes came with impact with our finances also. So at that moment, they couldn't really take care of me and my siblings at the time. So we went into the care of who I call my grandmother.
right. You said you were molested at your grandmother's home. Would you like to share who molested you? Was it your grandmother or someone else?
No, I don't mind sharing, but not get too in
Oh, absolutely.
but
Absolutely. As much as you need to share
mhm,
to
I got
help someone else.
I got you. It was a relative that was actually there also under the care of who I call my grandmother. That's how that also came about. Just to give a little bit more details, and now understanding and looking back how everything played out. Pretty much coming from all that trauma I heard from my home, I came to my grandmother home as a way of feeling peace and happy. That's where I actually started feeling myself again. I felt that safe haven.
Mm-hmm.
And being in the situation I came from, I didn't really understand the damages and the low self esteem and everything that came with those damages. So, and it was very hard for me to open up to people. I'm naturally an introvert,
Mm-hmm.
so the person that molested me, eventually I became comfortable, and I started opening up to that person, like, "Yo, this is what's been going on, this how I'm feeling, and everything about it." And then to make the story short, that person ended up taking advantage of that situation, and and me trusting and being young, that led to a whole different situation and trauma.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry that happened to you. Sometimes people come at us as if they're willing to help us. Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? And they're actually bad people who molest children. And we call that the grooming stages, when they're getting to know you and then they violate you. So I want to apologize for adults' bad behaviors and children's bad behaviors. Also, you said something that really resonated with me. You said you tried to commit suicide a few times. Can you tell us what stopped you, or a little bit about that?
Yes, I'll definitely share that. At that point, um, everything that I happened, I spoke about. I never really spoke about it. I just grew up, just like it is what it is, and just keep it moving forward. That's the mentality that I had. But and I also kept ignoring the war that I had inside of me, and I was literally what I say, I was literally fighting demons. My thoughts were not positive at all. I was very, very like outrageous. I had just no peace within me. I'm saying, and I was like a walking bomb. Just at any moment, just asking for a situation for me to release everything that I was carrying. That's how I felt through those times. And it came to a point where it just it came very dark, and I was falling into like popping pills, drinking lean at that time, and also abusing marijuana to feel normal and to feel like to feel alive, you could say. I was very spiritually dead through those times. And I pretty much, how I ended up in the hospital from my very first attempt. I started just popping a lot of pills, and my little brother actually seen me doing it, and he knew like something was wrong, and because of him, he was able to call my sister at that time, and she wasn't in town. She called the ambulance, and they came to the home, and I was into like a shocking stage from all the pills I was consuming. I don't remember those pills I was taking, but it put me to like a little shock stage where like my body was like trembling, and I couldn't speak, like I couldn't talk, and then they had to put me just shoot me up with something to like combat the all the pills that I took in, and then went the whole stage evaluation, and they locked me up in the hospital for a couple weeks to keep an eye on me, and that was like the very first. But the other parts really don't want to get into in depth.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing. I am glad that you're here with us. And then you said something that really, really resonated with me. You said war in my mind. What does that look like? Or how does that make you feel?
Mm, these are very, very good questions. It's it's like a madman. You
Mm.
constantly having different type of thoughts popping up in your head, like positive, um, some positive, but mostly negative thoughts. Thoughts that are not pleasing at all. Like coming from a world of hurt and trauma. Just being very honest and transparent. I was always thinking about murder. I was always thinking about like just very negative, dark things,
Mm-hmm.
because that was my world I was living in at that moment, and that was my reality to me at that time. And just think of things that would just wasn't right, was not in the right state of mind at all.
That is so powerful. War in my mind, because some of us have so many things. I usually say something it has a derogatory word to it, but I say these 800 MF words in my head because our brain is like a war. So that's why that attracted me to that statement you made, because that's how sometimes I'm feeling. And I'll be like, I gotta calm them down. And it's not really voices, it's just reliving trauma,
Yeah,
trying to build a business,
yeah,
trying to take care of family, trying to do all these things for this one little brain of mine.
yes, yes, yes. So true, so true.
So I love that. And I hope that's one of your slogans or hashtags. Make that a hashtag, because that really resonated with me. And I know for a fact that it will resonate with others, because we do have a war in our mind, trauma, self love,
Yeah,
religion, spiritual, culture, all of those things make a play to make us who we are.
I agree. That's so powerful, very powerful.
Then you said something about the awakening. Can you share with us what that awakening was and how it fulfills you to this day? Because you're no longer in that, the trauma happened, but you're no longer in that space anymore. You're in a new space.
Yes, yes. Now that experience itself was very powerful. I feel like, throughout everything that I experienced in my life, though my spiritual awakening was the most powerful event I experienced that shook what I believe life is. To give more details about it, it was one night. My usual routine is like, I usually smoked a lot. So I rolled up and I smoked a joint. At that moment, I was chilling with a friend. It was this girl from my past. We was hanging out, and then I went to sleep pretty much like really really high, and that was the night where everything I was running from actually caught up to me. I used to be very emotionless, you could say, had no feelings, no emotions, and that's the at that night everything came to me. Like there was no hiding away, there was no running away from it, and it just hit me while in my sleep. And pretty much what I seen was in a felt like a dream. Um, I basically seen everything that happened to me in a from a spiritual aspect. I was in a where I was molested. I seen the same view, but in a very dark, in an energy form. So I seen
Mm,
who was the dark and then who was the light. I seen how everything played out, and even with the whole trauma and everything else, I just seen everything for what it is, from my spiritual eye, you could say. And in the
mm,
midst of that, just to understand what really happened to me and just to accept it, um, what happened is my soul projected out of my body.
mm,
My soul projected out of my body. That's what we call an out of body experience. And I was literally looking at myself in the bed, lifeless, but I still had a connection to my flesh through my heart. I felt my heart beating, but it was beating very, very, very fast. At any moment, I felt like I could have had a heart attack. And as I was floating in the air, I wanted to get back into my body, but I couldn't. I felt like I had no control. And I was just trying to like, scream and yell, like, oh my God, like I'm dead. I'm pretty much panicking in my sleep.
mm-hmm,
And and then this is where I actually met before. I grew up Haitian household, so we believe we go to church every Sunday. Talk about God and Jesus and everything. At a point in time, on my own path, certain things I stopped believing, for some reasons. But through that awakening and me not being able to get back to my flesh, I actually met Jesus. Now the story about that, I didn't really believe, he was real through those times, but
Mm-hmm.
he didn't have any image. He didn't have no. He didn't look like nothing. It was just an energy. It was a force. Like I felt his presence, and I knew it was him because he spoke to me telepathically. I didn't have to like open my mouth. It was like our conversation were telepathically. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. He went to the war in your head.
Yeah.
That's where he was. Absolutely.
So after having that interaction with Jesus and knowing that he was actually real, that shifted me dramatically spiritually within myself. And he's the one who actually put me back into my body. And when my soul went back into my body, I jumped out my sleep and I was into a panic attack from everything that I just literally experienced. I was speaking tongues. Like I was just saying things. I didn't even know what I was saying. I was just speaking tongues. I was saying certain things like money the devil, blah blah blah. I was just speaking in tongues.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was looking at me crazy, like, oh, what happened? It's the weed, he's on drugs. You know, people pretty much try to say like I was crazy at that time, but in reality, it was me going and entering my phase of my spiritual awakening. So that's the story behind that. And ever since that, my life changed completely. Like the way I see things, my intuition. It's just so much spiritual gifts that I was able to find, and also my purpose was also was born and started that journey of fulfilling my mission and my purpose of living.
Wow. Your awakening was amazing. It happened to you in your sleep. My awakening happened at a play. So I most definitely understand it because we don't know that we have these amazing gifts until something happens.
Yeah.
And it feels good. Please. I want all our listeners to know that when you receive that awakening or your spirit guides or whatever your beliefs are, embrace it because that's the universe telling you something is about to happen and the mindset change is going to occur.
Hmm.
How are you with all these relationships, your mom, your dad, your grandmother, the friend? How are all you guys? Are you in do you have a relationship, or your awakening kept you away from certain people and things?
After my awakening, I was very like spiritually sensitive. Certain places I couldn't hang around. People that I was hanging around with, immediately they had to leave. And it happened naturally. I didn't force it, and it just happened. And that's when I
Mhm.
learned how to just go with the flow of life. Certain things you're in control of, and certain things you're not. And I learned how to identify what I am in control of and what I'm not. And yeah, those environment, it had to change.
Oh.
When it came with family and everything, at that moment, it felt very, it felt very very strange. It felt like I was a new. I felt like I was a baby and a how can I say, a grown, not a grown man, but like a entering my 20s, you could say,
Mhm.
late teens. I felt like I was a baby back into my body. I was just like relearning everything. Things that I thought was true or real wasn't really real, or what I used to praise or chase after understanding of things. I no longer cared about materialistic things. I didn't care about the cars. I didn't care about the being popular and um, chasing money. That was another thing. I was very like hustle to go get it. Coming from us, coming from, and struggling a lot, and making ends meet. It's to the point where my mindset changed too, where instead of chasing money, I started chasing my purpose, finding what was my purpose. That was another great mindset shift that happened, and then that also um went down my own path, and tests and trials and tribulations, and growing stronger in faith, to be exact.
Mhm.
When it came to family, there deeper down, our family been very cold. I'm gonna be very honest and transparent. We don't have
Mhm.
any love in my family, so being the light carrier is a lot. We're trying to heal all the generational curses and trauma that's already been in the family, and me becoming more aware of it and having to face it head on. It's very tough, because ignorance play a big role, and miscommunication. That's
Mm-hmm.
the devil weapon right there. A lot of miscommunications causes a lot of division, and a lot of extra stuff that don't have to happen because of not understanding each other or knowing how to communicate. Honestly, so that's
So
work in progress.
so true. So thank you for sharing that. You said your purpose. So what does that purpose look like now?
Okay, pretty much I realize I have the impact to I impact people in a unique way.
Mm,
I slept on it, to be very honest. Like, I thought it was nothing, but after a while, seeing how me just having a genuine conversation, being myself, one of my authentic self, how I'm able to really like impact people,
yes.
um, just by like what I genuinely feel. Like, I'm a open hearted person, and I'm a type of person. If you are in a bad space, I promise you, even though I don't know you, like, I naturally connect with you. Like, I'm an empath. I
Mm,
feel what people feel without even having to speak, and that's part of my gift. And I was able to really like help a lot of people going through some dark times and some tough challenges in life. I was able to feed them the word they need to hear to empower and actually see the greater um, uh, thing out of their situation that they were currently in. That's one of my purpose. Another thing is being intelligent and having understanding to certain. I was able to really open up people's minds to the opportunities around them. And that's more like financial wise when it comes with investing, building businesses, and the mindset of wealth building. And that's a whole different story that I had to understand and face. Like I said, I grew up in a poor mindset,
mm-hmm.
and school didn't really teach me about building wealth and investing and financial literacy. So the question that I came into face to face with is to understand, like, if my parents it's know about financial literacy and how to actually become wealthy, and school systems don't teach that, where
Nope.
am I supposed to learn that from?
Mm-hmm.
And
No school system teaches that, Revel. I just want you to know that. No school teaches financial literacy.
which is a huge problem, uh,
Mm-hmm.
coming from that. And having that reality, I knew like something was really wrong. So after educating myself and coming from a situation not having a lot of money and taking risks with the little I have, it put me in a very tough situation where it's like I was gapping things I didn't even have. So I was like already deep knee in debt, and I was still determined to figure out how to actually build wealth and continue on with this mission I was on. And yeah, so I'm able to really help people financially, and mentally, you could say. So yeah, and it's ongoing too. I'm still learning more about myself, the gifts and talents that I have. I'm still developing, and also now starting to open up and share with the world everything that I had hidden within me.
You are dope. I know you spoke a little bit about NFTs. Are you still into that?
Yes, definitely. I still have I have my project coming out soon. It will be released as an NFT. And for those who don't know what NFTs are, it's a non-fungible token. It's more affiliated the blockchain and, in a sense, cryptocurrency. So learning and exposed to this new growing market, it's pretty much a way of for creatives and artists to take full control of their work and actually really reap the benefits of the work they put in. I feel like with all the streaming platforms and music are being are cutting the artist short with their work. It's like a couple cents for each play and streams, and on the back end, these industries are in they're making millions and billions of dollars off of artists. So NFT is like the new way of doing business. It's a new
Wow.
way of exchange. So you pretty much have full control of your work, and you have a easy way to sell your creation to your audience and your fans, and not having any other person digging in your pockets. And yeah, it's I feel like
Wow.
everyone should get involved, even if you're not an artist or a creative, but on the just the adapting side of how things are changing, and also for the investment opportunities that are being created with NFTs.
Thank you. And I will make sure I put your contact information. So if anyone is interested on this podcast while listening about NFTs, your go to person is Revel. He will walk you through it as much as he knows. Because as he stated, we're all in the learning process. And when we started this awakening, or I call it journey to self care, we're learning so much about ourselves. We're like, Dag, I'm like that. So it's really hard. But since it's Mental Health Awareness Month, I want to know, do you see a therapist? Are you in tune with spirit guides? What do you do to take care of your mental health?
It's all to me is spiritual. I do
Okay.
work. I am connected with my angels. I definitely pray strong in faith. And also just pray a lot, and continue doing the inner work. I do not depend on what's on the external, what's outside of me. I worry about what's inside of me, and how I feel. So I constantly ask myself, how am I feeling today, or how I'm feeling right now. I always check what I'm thinking about. Very, very like conscious and being aware of
Mm,
my thoughts. So I make sure like I am always in control of what I'm thinking and what I'm thinking about.
right. You're consciously in tune, which is very important. Something we all have to work on, and listening to our intuition and being our authentic self and taking the mask off. That's taking care of your mental health.
Yes,
I
yes.
promote people should see a therapist, but I also promote spiritual self-care. Wherever you're at in life, just make sure that you can take care of yourself, because that's what's important.
I agree. I definitely agree. It's very important.
Revel, to all my men who are struggling with taking care of their mental health, because of most definitely cultural,
Hmm.
which stops us from taking care of our mental health. That's like the top one. What advice would you give to men who need to take care of their mental health?
Okay. First, let me say that your life is tied to how you think, and the same way you take care of your physical body, the way you go to the gym, work out, eat good to look good, you have to also take care of your spiritual, emotional, and mental state. And with that being said, you cannot do nothing else if your mind and the emotional and spiritual aspect is not in line. As much as you may try, put all your effort, or do what you can do, but at the end of the day, if you're not thinking right or you're not feeling right, things will not work out. And I learned that the hard way. It's very, very important to take some time to really fall back and really, ask yourself how you're doing, and anything that you need to let go or talk about. And being a man, they say that men not supposed to cry. I had that mentality. Didn't really shed a tear. Things. I had plenty of reasons to cry. I just kept it moving. But as I started going deeper to my healing journey, I learned it's okay to cry. Crying is a way of your soul releasing, those toxics and pain, and as a relief, you feel better. So it's okay to cry. And also it's okay to talk about things that you feel like you will be ashamed about or embarrassed about. Just find the right people, um, and trust yourself. Another self love, man. Like we gotta love ourselves. Do not compare yourself to no one else. You know, with you, your flaws and everything, you are unique and you're created just the way you were created for a reason. And I hope that whoever listening find a way to like love yourself with everything in all aspects, and don't ever think less of yourself, because you are very valuable. Everyone on this earth has a gift or a purpose. You're not here for no reason. You're here for a specific reason. I feel like you should focus on finding that reason. And once you start finding that reason, make sure that you know you are mentally, spiritually, emotionally aligned to be able to fulfill that mission or purpose that you was born here um, to accomplish before you pass over.
Thank you so much, Revel, for sharing your story. If someone wants to contact you, how can they contact you?
My main outlet right now at the moment is Instagram. You guys could follow me or send me a message at RevelHaitionl, RevelHaition on Instagram. I'm mostly active on Instagram at the moment. There's other platforms, LinkedIn and all, but Instagram is the main source. You guys could check me out and let's connect.
So if anyone wants to connect with Revel the Haitian, make sure that you contact him because he shared a lot. And I know his story could help a lot of men because men were told they're not supposed to cry. They were told that. Suck it up. Don't cry. Don't show your emotions. But Revel just told you guys you should show your emotions. That's a way of healing. So I want to thank you, Revel, for um, participating in this month's mental health awareness. And if you have anything else you want to share or say before we end, please do so.
Oh no, I definitely want to say thank you, Janelle, for this opportunity to come on and share my story, and for the work that you're doing is amazing. You know, we need more resources like this, especially platforms that you're building and you're working on. It's is greatly needed, especially in the times that we're living in, and with all the chaos and things that are not being addressed. So I thank you. I really thank you, and I give you your flowers now for
And I accept
everything.
them.
Really, it's all love.
Thank, thank you, Revel, for joining us. Have an amazing day on purpose.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.